In 3, 2, 1. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Gamer Science Podcast. My name is John Meadows. With me as always, Eric, Nathaniel, and Robert. What's going on, fellas?
What's happening, guys?
Not too much.
Same old, same
Someone's
old.
opening a drink over there.
Yeah, I hear a drink opening. I heard a drink opening.
I was putting my Switch down.
Oh.
It sounded like you were reaching off and just going.
Oh no, I was snapping the Joy-Cons back to it.
I got some water and some ginger ale.
That's what I forgot to drink.
It sounded like a pop can opening. That's what it sounded like. So.
Yeah, I can see that.
Filtered through the internets.
Yep.
Changes what it sounds like.
Tasty.
You never know when it's off camera. You know, it could be anything.
Could be anything. You don't know what I'm doing over here.
I don't know what's going on. I don't even know if Robert has pants on or not. He may just have a shirt on. I mean, you know, he may be sitting there in these skivvies for all I know. I don't know.
The world may never know.
Bring that up.
Yeah, you know, I
Poor
did,
audience. Probably like, click.
Yeah, probably like, hey, well,
we just got a whole new audience.
They're like, oh, jeez.
What is this, the Swingers podcast? I didn't even know this existed.
I might tune out in a minute.
We are now the Swingers line.
I'm on the way out now. But anyway, so let's see what's everybody doing? What's everybody been playing besides Mario? I know, Eric, you didn't get Mario, did you? I think Eric's the only one in the group that probably didn't get Mario.
I am eager, very eager. In fact, what even makes it better is I saw there's a local GameStop in my area who has a copy used, and I have a buy two get one coupon. So,
Oh my!
There's a GameStop in the area here that has Assassin's Creed used already. They had it used yesterday. Yesterday they had it. Yesterday morning.
Call them, be like, is it a fluke? They're like, no.
It was an hour drive away. I wasn't.
Yeah, it's crazy. It probably somebody got it, pre-ordered it, played it, and was like, I don't like it. It's like, nah. I mean,
there wasn't a. Was there
probably not even you?
I doubt it.
It's probably some sketchy terms, and then they sold it. And that was
either that, or maybe GameStop managers got physical copies of it. I don't know.
They definitely don't get physical anymore.
Why does it have a Redbox rental sticker?
Although they won't even take them if it has Redbox. Around here, they won't even take them. They won't even take them with Redbox rentals stickers on them, which is no big deal because all you got to do is just take a hairdryer to it and peel it off, and then take some alcohol and clean it, and you're good.
Yep.
So, but. You know, I don't steal from Redbox. I actually buy from Redbox when
they do have some good deals.
Yeah, every once in a while they have some good deals. But
there's a ton. I got like 20 Redbox in my area, and I'm like,
I have a free game rental from Redbox. Maybe I'll check out Assassin's Creed.
I have 4 Redboxes. I have 4, and that's in 2 cities.
What? That's it?
I
have like 4 like right around in the neighborhood.
We have
like 4 on every corner.
2 around the corner.
We have one here in town. It's at the grocery store. That's the only one in town.
Yep.
Wow.
You go across the river to the other town. There's 2 at Walmart and 1 at the CVS, and that's it.
Makes sense.
All the other ones are like 40 miles away.
You got a Redbox in my living room.
Probably. I mean, the way you can't down in North Carolina, you can't trip. You can't go anywhere without tripping over a Redbox. They are everywhere down there. I'm sure it's that way where Eric's at too, because he's in a bigger city. So
yeah, it is. There, like you go up the street, there's one. Go down the gas station, there's one. Go Walmart, 2 Walgreens, like a CVS. 2 is just like all over the place.
You know, I remember when those things, I saw it online. It's like Redbox, buy in and, you can stock it and get money and buy into this and that. And I'm like, Redbox? Who the heck is going to buy, movies or rent movies and games from a vending machine? That's just dumb.
Should have done it.
Yeah, I wished I would have because, my gosh, I missed that. I had the opportunity to, and I didn't.
Yeah, they're pretty. I mean, I really haven't had a problem renting from them. No bad discs or anything, and I always have like free.
Oh, I always get a messed up disc.
See, I've never had
the paper copy. That's what you get. You're like, oh, dang it.
Haven't had that happen yet, man.
Neither have I, but I'm just like, man.
I'm terrified every time I do it.
I haven't had any
I've never
issues
used one.
with it.
I like to see when it pops up on Facebook on the marketplace. Someone's like, I'm selling this game, and I'm like, my game looks like it came out like a week ago. I'm like,
Yeah. I don't know. I've never had any problems with Redbox. But I'll hit them up. I almost thought, well, I'll get Assassin's Creed and try it on Redbox, and I'm like, no, I'm playing Mario. I'm not going to stop playing
looks
Mario
like
right now. So
looks like in the chat, Spinner rented it. He said he had good things to say about it. He liked the combat.
Yeah, I saw his tweet.
Kind of a Witcher 3 feel to it. That could be interesting, but there's lots of stuff out right now. Lots of stuff to play.
Well, just Friday had Wolfenstein, and it had Assassin's Creed, and it had Mario. And then
lots of my friends bought
Destiny 2 come out on
Wolfenstein.
PC. It was a huge week for games this week.
Yeah, and I didn't buy anything but Mario. That's all I bought. I didn't, I usually buy Assassin's Creed launch day, but I didn't this year. I don't know why. It's not that I wasn't excited about it. It's just that I have so much other stuff to play that I didn't see the point in buying it now and then set it on the shelf.
I'm gonna wait a few weeks and probably buy either that or Wolfenstein or both, depending on what prices are on a Steam sale by the end of the year.
Oh yeah, and especially on PS4 or Xbox One, they'll be on sale for $40 in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, like Black Friday stuff.
Yeah,
sure.
So it's like, I'll just wait. And it's not that I'm not excited about either one of those games, but at the same time, it's just like I've got so much other stuff to play, and
for sure.
They're both supposed to be pretty good.
Yeah, and I don't have a ton of time right now to play, everything under the sun anyway. So it's like, I'll pick it up eventually, but
I'm in full clearing out my backlog mode. So anything that's installed on my system, I'm trying to beat whatever's there before I move on to something else.
Let me see what I've got in arm reach. Here's 3 Famicom games.
You don't count.
There's a stack of them over there.
I'm not a collector anymore.
I don't.
So
I don't. I have so much backlog that it's ridiculous.
Backlog to you just means storage.
There is no such thing as backlog to me.
Yeah, your backlog actually takes up a whole storage unit.
It probably would. Come close to it anyway. It did when we moved anyway, but I've added some stuff since then, so who knows. But so who wants to go first with what they've been playing? I haven't been playing much.
I'll go last because I have the biggest list.
Okay. Well, go ahead, Nathaniel. I want to hear about Cuphead and stuff anyway.
Yeah, Cuphead.
Cuphead is hard. It's so hard.
Yeah.
It's very much a trial and error kind of a game where you go into a level and then you notice all the patterns, whether it's the boss fight or if it's the platforming levels.
Yeah.
All right, I know this guy's gonna show up here, and this is where they all coming down this thing. Or if it's a boss, it's like, okay, they do this, you damage them enough, and then they turn into this form and start doing this new thing. It's crazy, but man, that game looks so good.
Yeah, it's on my list to pick up. I just haven't.
And you knew it looked good from watching videos, but it also feels really good to play. It's very tight controls, so it's all in all around very good, very nice.
Good.
Does the PC version have
one of two games why I'd want an Xbox One?
Is it just on? Does the PC version have online co-op, or is it just couch co-op?
I don't know. I haven't played that. I've played it a couple of hours, and that's it.
Okay.
So I didn't really explore all that.
Probably not.
It's like, I do not know. But yeah, it's really, really cool. It's playing that art style, just everything. It's just like, I'm playing an old cartoon. This is crazy. All the menus look really cool. All of the just little characters and stuff that you find on the map are cool. The bosses are insane. I've beat 2 of them so far. And man, it took a while too. You're not going to do it on your first attempt. It depends on what level you are. So some of them are, I did one that was like this slime that sort of bounces back and forth, and then as you damage it, it gets bigger.
Yeah.
And I got so close to the end, because what Cuphead does is when you die, it brings up a little thing like, oh, you're dead, and it has a little progress bar and shows you how close to the end of the level you got. And it's incentive for you to just I'll replay again, and I'll get it this time. I know I will. And it's just, nope, I died. I'm going to do it again. It's kind of similar to what the Trials games are. Yeah. Not in that's the same kind of game, but just I want to hit it one more time. I'll get it this time. I know it. So yeah, it's really cool. I'm just going to have to play more of it, but it'll wait a while because Mario's around. But yeah, Cuphead's really cool. If you're looking at it thinking, yeah, I could play that, and I don't mind that it's going to be a difficult game. I know what I'm getting into. Then yeah, it's $20 is worth it.
Yeah. Have you been messing with any of the loadouts or anything like that?
I haven't had much to get. I bought a shotgun thing and a couple other extras, but I don't have a lot of things unlocked to be able to swap them out yet because I've only played a little bit, so I don't have that much currency to buy things in their little store.
Gotcha.
So I've played with the couple things you get early on, and that's about it. I watched a video. The Giant Bomb guys had the people who made Cuphead in, and they were talking to them. But the video itself is actually one of the developers playing Cuphead, and he's just going through this and talking to them at the same time, and he's just motoring through this thing because as they're asking him somewhere in the middle of the interview how many times he's played these. He's because of the early play testing and just doing it over and over and over again, he's played some of these levels thousands of times.
Oh, I can only imagine.
And he just makes it look easy. I'm like, that is not easy. That's so hard.
That's memorization.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's just it's almost like a shoot 'em up. You see these guys that play the shoot 'em ups and they do the that I can do it with not dying. It's all memorization because it's all the same thing over and over and over again.
It's great.
And
one of the bosses is a shoot 'em up level.
Yeah, that's what I'd heard.
It's like the second or third one that I found, because the way the map goes, there's a couple of things you can go around in a little bit different way, and what happens, you beat one of the levels and it'll unlock a bridge or put some stairs in so you can go to another spot on the map. But there's at least a couple of ways I found where you can go sidestep it around by going a different way. There's a hidden path and that kind of things, but most of the action is within the levels, beating a boss, doing the platforming stuff. Which mostly the platforming is more of just bullet hell dodging stuff for the most part. Because you're just shooting all the time. I think I need to learn, watching the developer play, I need to learn to do the stop and shoot thing more and work at it naturally than just run and gun, because you can aim better that way. That's one thing I will say I wish it had, is just any direction that you could fire, but it's just 8 directions, so straights, ons, and the diagonals. It's not analog. If it was analog, it'd be a little bit easier, because then you could do it kind of like a twin stick shooter and just aim exactly and get something, but you have to worry about positioning a lot more with it only being the certain directions on there. I could do better if I could do this. Then again, if I had it, I'd probably still do as terrible as I was doing. It's a game you got to kind of get into and get the groove on, and then you'll be able to get through some stuff, but you're still gonna have to do it over and over and over to find all the patterns,
right? And
then you still have to execute on it.
I think I'd be interested in it, but you probably want to drop, maybe it gets on sale or something, or I don't know. I have to get on PC.
It's sold really, really well apparently, so that's really good.
Yeah, I mean, people have really good things to say about it, and people seem to know that they're up for the challenge.
Yeah, I definitely, it's on my list to pick up for that. I'm going to get it on the Xbox. I think if I get it on the Xbox, I can play it on PC as well. I think it's one of those.
It's the both kinds.
Yeah, the share thing, whatever they call it.
It was interesting them saying that the art style was not the first thing they thought of for the game, so it was a lot more gameplay.
Yeah.
And originally the art style was going to be, as you went through the game, it was kind of like going through higher and higher grades of kids' drawings. So it starts out like kindergartners' drawings, and as you get further on, it's better and better art style. That's originally what they were going to do. I want to see that game. That sounds kind of interesting.
Yeah, that does sound interesting, because I mean the art style is that was the big attraction to me when I first saw it. I mean, the minute I saw it, I was like, "Ooh, I gotta have that. That looks awesome." I mean, I love the way the look is. I don't even care if the game stinks. I want it. For the game to be good, that's just an extra for me. It's just
So yeah, Cuphead's pretty cool.
Cool.
I've also been playing Divinity Original Sin 2. I played some more of that, so I got kind of through some of the first area of that game.
That's on my list.
So at the beginning, before I'd played just a tiny little bit, but now I've played maybe about a dozen hours of it. And I've gotten to where, the first part of the game, you're on a ship, and then they take you to this place called Fort Joy, where they're capturing all the sorcerer people or whatever they call them. And so you have to try and escape. And there's a bunch of different ways that you can escape. I found at least 6 of them before I finally decided to actually leave. Because I was like, no, I want to do this before I go away. And then poking around in a different area, I was like, oh, I found another way I can escape. Oh, no, let's go back. I want to go do this and that. And I eventually settled on sneaking out the front gate and then going back in and killing everyone that was around the area anyway, because the journal was saying, you fought your way out the front gate. I was like, no, I didn't. I just snuck out the front. Oh, well, I'm going to go back and try and kill these guys anyway, just to see if I could do it. Because I had a bunch of pretty tough looking guards around, so I was like, well, I'll try it. And I ended up being able to beat it. So
So what kind of class did you pick? I think maybe you told me this last time. I don't remember.
Yeah, I'm playing kind of a wizard class that does fire and earth magic to start with.
Nice.
But I'm not going to stay as specialized from some of the random skills I've picked up so far. So I have a full party now. I've got kind of a rogues style party. They're not all rogues, but kind of like the roguish kind of underworlds type characters that are available are the ones I ended up picking. And I've got the healer. I'm going to give them a point in necromancy because you can do blood rain and then this other ability where you can suck up blood that's on the ground and heal from it. So I'm like,
nice.
That'll be crazy.
Did
Why
you,
not?
what kind of race are you playing as? Human, skeleton, the lizard thing?
My guy is a human. The other people, let's see, I have a human and an elf
lizard person?
And
halfling.
I forget who the possessed bard is. That's one of the main origin characters. But
man, I cannot wait to play it. I just don't have the time right now. But I am on board when I will get it.
The fun thing is,
which I haven't finished.
Yeah, in this one, elves, if they eat body parts, they get memories from it. Ugh. And the way that manifests in the game is you have like the elf person in your party will read something, or will eat something, sorry, and then a little thing comes up and it's like, you see, blah, 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 and then you get a random skill from whoever that body part came from. So I was like, ooh, this is interesting. But the great thing is the elf character in my party's kind of a sociopath anyway, so it kind of makes sense that she would eat things. I don't know.
I bet it comes to consoles later maybe not this year, but maybe next year.
It should. The last one
at
did,
some point.
So I don't see why it wouldn't.
And I heard about it, and it was free on PlayStation Plus. I was like, I should try this out. And I was like, this game is amazing. Yeah. Storytelling.
Yeah, I had actually played. Which one was it? Divinity game before they did Original Sin. It was a completely different style of game. It was more of a action
RTS.
RPG.
Oh, I was thinking it was more of an art.
It was action RPG. I forget. And then they've done a few different styles through this whole series until like Original Sin really hit. So like, all right, we're gonna stick with this one. So
no,
far,
you and I talked about this.
Yeah, too far into it, but there is some new kind of stuff, the way the mechanics layer on and stuff that I found in this one. And definitely get Pet Pal, just like the first game. I got a cool quest from a dog where I had to go find its buddy that had gotten kidnapped and found out that the dog had been brainwashed and now it's part of some group of like attack dogs that one of the guys in the prison had trained. But because I had killed that guy first, I have this little rubber ball that I distracted the dogs with. So it's like all sorts of goofy, just little fun stuff.
It's kind of fun. That means they had fun with the game, making.
Oh yeah. There's so much stuff that even in the first like 12 hours, there's like little hidden things and like fun little details. Like, oh, you picked up this thing over here, which means that you can do this little twist on this quest line because you happen to explore enough to find this thing. So it's kind of like the first Original Sin, and it's like we're gonna take all the cool stuff and then we're just gonna like blow it even out further. So you have so many options that if you went back and played it again and did it a completely different way, you'd have a completely kind of different experience. So, because I've watched a couple of like gameplay things of it too, put it on in the background. It was like, hey, that guy did something completely different than what I did. That's neat. Like they did this quest different, or they failed a quest because they didn't do this one thing. I was like, oh wow, I didn't even realize that was there, just because of you only see what you do on your choices. So it's kind of interesting to see the comparison. It's like, yeah, there is a lot of stuff in this game.
Cool. So. The last one, the first one was good. So,
yeah, if you like the Original Sin, you like Original Sin too.
Yeah, I figured. Can't go wrong with that one.
I also jumped on the Destiny 2 train. I got on PC this week.
Did you get banned?
Destiny train?
Yes, I got banned. No.
Yeah, that was a weird thing. They said like people just randomly got banned
many.
for no apparent reason whatsoever. So.
Well, it was a few of them were actual like real bans
Yeah.
that people were cheating and they found them. There were a few that were like, oh, something weird happened there because our system showed that you did this thing that you didn't really. So they're working on it, but the total player base, the number of the people that happened to was really small.
Yeah,
so.
it was. So what do you think?
It's fun. It's really pretty and runs really nice on PC. It's a very good port. It runs very smoothly. So I've got it even it's going at like 1440p on my 1080 monitor. So it downsizes it to where it doesn't have to anti-alias as much. So it looks really nice.
Nice.
It's kind of this. It runs really well, except for the only choppiness I've run into is when I'm in the second area, Titan, which is kind of the ocean where there's lots of rain and stuff coming down. And even that's not bad. It's when I was doing a public event and there was like tons of enemies and a bunch of like other players around all at once. And I was like, okay, I could tell it's slowing down a little bit, but it was still, it runs pretty well. I've done some solo stuff, some stuff with friends.
Yeah.
So I'm level 17 now, I think.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, that's not bad.
I'm creeping up into 170 range for my gear level.
Yeah, you come by gear so fast that it's
it's like not hanging on to anything at all.
No, there's no reason
this is fun,
to.
And then, this thing's fun too. Oh, this is cool.
The only way I would hang on to anything is if you get a purple that you really, really, really like, and then you can just, you can fuse it with bigger stuff. And
I got a yellow I really liked that I threw in my vault thing just so I wouldn't lose it, just because it looks cool, because it has some cool glowing bands on it. Neat.
Well, the cool thing is now once you get it, and if you accidentally break it down or something, all you have to do is go back to your vault and you just buy it again. I forget how many shards it costs. It doesn't cost very much.
Cool. So it's not lost forever.
No, it's not lost forever. Didn't used to be that way. It used to be if you accidentally broke down a legendary, you were just screwed until either Zerg had it or you just lucked into getting it again. So.
But yeah, mostly I've just been doing the story missions and then a few like the side quest things, the adventures, and then a few public events. So
yeah.
It's more adventures than there are story missions.
Yeah, there are.
Yeah, but they all work out to almost the same, I think, because like in an area you get a story mission, but then the 2 or 3 adventures that you do there adds up to about the same amount of time that the story mission takes. Maybe slightly longer or less. It depends on which ones. At least the ones I've done so far seems to kind of work out that way. But it's fun.
Yeah, I liked it.
I don't know how much of the grind I'll get into, but if I feel in the mood for shooting pew-pew space weapons, I've got a game I can do that with.
Yeah. Well, it helps if you have some friends to play with, too.
I have a few. Yeah. I have one. There was one friend I was playing with.
Play the random people.
He's played on console a ton, and then he was on here, and within a day or two, he's already like level 20, 280 something. I'm like, should I jump in with you? He's like, yeah, it's fine. So
yeah, it dumbs things down. But I think I forget. I'll have to ask my buddy how I should have done it. I should have waited and done the milestones. I think after I finished all the story stuff or something, then I jumped and did the milestones because the rewards you get from them
have story though.
Yeah, well, I mean, I once
all
you
the story missions are in there.
Yeah, once I hit level 20, there was something.
Crucible is in there. That's the only milestones. I have.
There's something with the milestones because if I had waited till I hit level 20 and then did the milestones after I finished all the story stuff, it would have because I hit 20 way before I finished the story.
Yeah, but I don't even know what other than the Crucible ones that however many that branch out. That's the only ones you could do that are not story.
Yeah, there'll be a ton. There'll be a ton of them open up after you hit level 20. That they're weekly milestones that you have to do, do all this and this and this. And there's
don't even
tons of
them until you hit 20, though. I assume because that's the only stuff I've got in my milestones right now. Next and then, hey, go do Crucible stuff. I'm like, I don't want to do PvP. Leave me alone.
Yeah, I went and did it just to get the thing. I go and do it just to get the
I will eventually
the reward, and that's all I do. I don't usually hop in, even though it is easier. It is a little better, more balanced this time than it was the last time because I actually had some success when I did it. When I used to do Crucible, I'd get so mad that I would quit playing because it was just like, nope, I don't like it. But this time it's not too bad. So. Seems like they balance something out. As long as it's like
the first one where it's just like, hey, go do 2 matches. You don't have to win or lose. Just do them.
Yeah,
I can do that.
And that's the way it is. It's just you don't have to win so many. You just have to go play. The only time that it's anything is when you finish the story. You have different missions on the planet to get different exotics, and then some of those exotic weapons are go to the Crucible and kill so many people with a shotgun or with a pistol or whatever, which I still haven't done all those. In fact, I haven't picked up Destiny in over a month. So
it's been a while for me.
Weapon that I like the most is this scout rifle that I have. It reminds me of rifles from Halo.
Yeah,
because it's just the same kind of like rhythm to how you fire it.
There's one automatic rifle that I got way early as an exotic. I forget what it's called, but it looks like a machine gun. But it's an automatic. It's not a heavy weapon. It's an automatic rifle, and you just hold down on the button, and it's like a Gatling gun. It just the longer you hold it, and the more you hold it in the spot, the more accuracy you get. And it has 100 rounds, so you can just go. Oh, I love it. It's just everybody knows when they play with me, the more bullets whatever I can carry that has the most bullets is what I'm going to carry. I don't care, because the more I can throw at it, the more I'm going to hit. So everybody's like, "Why don't you use this? You could be more accurate." Why? I got 1,000 rounds in this thing. I can just go.
I can just run into a room and start firing.
Just spin in a circle. It's great.
Screw this accuracy crap. I just won't worry about accuracy. Other things.
Yeah, I've been playing the Hunter because I like my glowy electric staff of doom.
Yep, that was always my
really
name.
Fun on public events too, because there's guaranteed to be a bunch of like little mob enemies that you can just like mow through them.
Yeah. I always like the gunslinger just because, I can whip out that pistol and go boom, 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 like John Wayne, and then put it back in my.
Yeah. I've got that one as well unlocked now too. So.
Yeah, the one with the bow is okay. Is cool. You just gotta. There's a little learning curve to it. Once you figure it out, it's really cool. But man, first couple times when they first introduced that one and the Void one, and I jumped up and I'd shoot, I would miss the whole thing. But it comes in handy because, especially like in some of the raid things, if you have to tie a boss down to slow them down, you can use it to ground them, and and while everybody else wails on him. So it's a good class, but. There's quite a learning curve to using that stupid bow and arrow. It looks awesome, though, but sometimes...
I will learn it when I unlock it.
Yep.
Which I don't have it yet.
Yeah, you're all right.
It sounds fun, though. I usually like bow and arrows.
Yeah. It's cool.
Yeah. Other than that, it's that Mario game that we've all been playing.
Mario.
That's what I've been playing most of.
That in your Stardew Valley.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've played, like, I checked the other day and went, oh my god, I've played 55 hours of Stardew Valley in 2 weeks. That's a little insane.
It happens.
So when Mario came out, I went, all right, I think I'm going to stop playing Stardew Valley for a little while. But I can't help it. It's like I figured out the pattern. Now I've made like 500,000, and every day it's like, whoop, I gotta hurry up and water this because they'll.
I gotta go back and look at a guide. I think I've only put like 5 hours in, 6 hours in. I got distracted by other stuff. I gotta figure out what I'm doing.
There's so many things you can pursue in there too. So if you want to pursue all of just like building relationships with all the town people and giving them gifts so that you max out their friendship level with them, and then there's like going down in the mines, and there's getting money from crops and upgrading all your buildings, and no matter what you feel like doing, you can go fishing.
It was like the first month of year 2, and I'd already maxed out farming. It was like that was all I did was just farm. Then the second year I was farm, forage. It's like I've done nothing with relationships or anything. If somebody asks for something, if it's on the board, I'm like, yep, I'll go get it. Other than that, I haven't really messed with it a whole lot. So.
Actually a good way to get some things early on if you like upgrade people to every certain levels. They'll like give you recipes and things like that. Will show up in your mailbox.
Yeah, well, and that's what I've been doing. It's just grinding cash.
Stardew Valley eats time. It's such a chill game.
It does. It's like
hey, 5 hours went by and I didn't notice.
Yeah, well, it's like I'll just like on Saturdays I'll sit down and put a football game on at noon and play Stardew Valley and watch a football game. Next thing I know, it's 12 o'clock at night and I've watched 5 football games that just come on one right after the other, after the other. Be like, man, I really need to get up and get a shower. You see, I haven't shaved because it's just.
He's got the addiction started.
Because it's not harvest time yet, John.
No, it's not. It's the cold weather's coming, so then it'll be harvest from here down. That's all it'll be. It's
all about that Animal Crossing on your phone.
I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I don't know. We'll talk about that after a while.
I'm sure we'll get there.
I think I put that in the notes, didn't I?
Yeah, it's in there.
All right. I'll save my opinions for that later. Ooh. But so what do you think of Mario? I know I like it. I like it a lot. And I was not a Mario 64 fan, and I did not figure out. I did not go in with high hopes with this one. I figured it would be like, it'll be all right. But
I don't know 64 as much because I only played little bits of that because I never owned a 64 growing up. So it probably has some of that, but I'm comparing it more to like, what if Mario Sunshine didn't have the gimmicky flood thing, but the way that he runs around and animates, I love how he leans into turns when you're spinning the camera. It's like a subtle little thing, but it just...
Or when you're running downhill and he stretches his arms out so he
and he goes faster.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, I love how many different moves that they've packed in for all the different stuff that you can
He has
do.
so much more personality than he ever has.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he really does.
Well, just all the costumes put a lot of personality into, just all the different NPCs that you run into with the different worlds. There's a lot of that Mario magic charm in this game. And I think I've played further than you guys. I've gotten to like, I think 9 kingdoms total.
Yeah,
so far.
I think I'm only. I think we talked about it before the show. I think I'm only at 4 or 5, something like that.
Yeah.
I'm not,
Yeah, I'm on maybe the 3rd or 4th.
Yeah. I think I'm at about 150 moons so far. They're everywhere. There's so many moons in this game to find, which is great.
How many are there? Isn't like 850
8
moons
to
or something?
900, something like that. Yeah, that's what I've heard. So there's a lot. You can track how many by kingdom in your little like book. There's a thing that tells you how many you've picked up.
see, I haven't even opened
and
that
same
up.
with the purple, like the purple coins that are unique to each area. You can look and see, okay, I have, these. I have to go find more of them, so I can buy all the other collectibles and outfits and stuff.
Yeah,
It's really, really great. I don't know. From what I'm hearing, people talking about it who have beaten it, is like you get to the end credits, and then there's the best stuff is after that. So
Yeah,
there's
what's
one on
what's coming
worlds
so
and-
far.
yeah.
So if it's better even then, I'm like, great. So we'll see how I am if they're done with it. But I think it has a chance to be my favorite Mario game.
Nice.
Especially 3D ones. Maybe not
Yeah.
the 2D because it's kind of hard to compare those.
I did like how they
Definitely
threw
3D ones, really good.
I like how they threw the 2D stuff in there. I wasn't expecting
those are my
that at
favorite
all.
parts.
Yeah, I
My
wasn't expecting
favorite
that at all.
part of the 2D stuff is that all of the music and sound effects go to 8-bit,
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
I do too.
seamlessly.
Yeah, and then when I just kept popping back and forth out of the thing, it was like,
Yeah. Have you gotten a 2D moon yet, where you're in the 2D area and get it, and it's the little moon jingle, but it's all 8-bit.
yeah,
It's so good.
I do too. Yeah, it is.
So yeah, I don't know. I've got well over a dozen outfits and stuff by now, because like you have the 2 different stores. You have the one that's like normal coins, so it gives you a reason to get a whole bunch of coins, and then you have like the purple coin ones that are unique to each kind of area that you get. And each store for the purple one, you have kind of like 2 outfits plus a couple of like interior of your Odyssey ship things. So
Yeah.
it's probably like a little potted plant and a poster or something. And then you have kind of like the passport decal stickers that they put on the outside of it.
Yeah,
You collect all those. Then you have kind of like the money store carries over. They don't add something new to every single area that you go to. There's usually a moon you can buy, and then every maybe 2 or 3 worlds they'll add a new outfit for the plain gold kind of store.
Yeah.
And you can buy the upgrade heart that'll get you 6 live points instead of 3. And that's usually all that's in that store.
the only outfit that I bought so far was the Explorer outfit, because on one of the planets I dropped off the edge and fell down in this hole, and there was a dinosaur, there was a T-Rex down there and a door. And the only way I could get through the door was I had to have the Explorer outfit. So I went back up, got the Explorer outfit, went out and got the moon. But
Yeah.
I hadn't bought a whole lot of the outfits yet.
Yeah, a lot of the areas have those where there's a door that only on I guess an outfit. That's
Yeah.
usually the one that you can just go buy the cheapest in the store
Mm-hmm.
in there. So if you find a few of those purple coins, you can get there pretty quickly.
I need to bust out my Namio and get all the outfits that you get, the Luigi, Wario, and the Luigi outfit and stuff like that. They all come from Amiibo, so I need.
Have you've gotten to the desert area, I assume, because it's like the second or third one.
Yeah.
Have you played with the Nintendo?
No, I saw him over there, but I hadn't went and played with him.
Because at first, when you're first in there, he's just in the store. But then after you beat the first like mini boss, and then you're back out in the area differently, he'll be off to the side of one of the buildings. And if you get up to him and play with him, he'll follow you around everywhere. And if you throw your hat, he'll go fetch it.
Oh, that's cool.
Nice.
So I put a video up of it on Twitter.
I
at some
saw
point
that. Yeah, I
that I
saw
tweeted
that.
at one of my friends. But it's like, yeah, you put it out and you do hold the button down so it just stays out there, and the dog will go pick it up and bring it back to you. they didn't have to put that in there. It serves no purpose other than, hey, it's fun to play with this dog. But I thought it was fun. There's so many just like little details that they put into this game. It's like, oh, that's cool. I've been saying that a lot playing it.
Yeah, I have too. And it's just, it's so weird that this year you get a Zelda game of the caliber that you get it, and now you get a Mario game less than, 9 months of the caliber of the. I just. I put on Twitter the other day. I was like, you know what, Nintendo is. What are they going? What are you going to do next year for me, Nintendo? Because this year was pretty daggone good. I don't know how you're going to top it.
Pokemon and Metroid will just come out of nowhere.
Well, and I'm fine with that. I am absolutely fine with that. I mean,
GameCube.
But if you'd have told me this time last year when we knew about the Switch and stuff, and we were all kind of like, well, we might get the Switch. It looks kind of cool. It all depends on the games, and then we all get it, and then we're like, well, Zelda's cool, but and now all of a sudden it's like here we are November, and it's just like holy crap!
Nintendo actually came through this time.
Yeah,
what saved them is all the eShop stuff, where all the fun little indies you can get. Some of them you can play elsewhere, a few of them you can't, like Golf Story. Yet I'm sure it will come elsewhere eventually. Which
I read today. The rumor is that's going to be the first limited run physical game is Golf Story.
Oh man, that's the way to buy it.
Yeah, I would have to try to buy that one just to have it. That would be pretty cool because it's a good game and it has the and with the physical copy of it would be pretty cool. But yeah,
I can see that.
It's going to be very hard for me to decide a game of the year this year because Zelda was so good, Mario was so good.
It's easy for me. It hasn't changed. Mario, I love Mario. It's fun, but it's still going to be a tie between Zelda and Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yeah, and that was my next one. It's like, you got Horizon.
Those two games are amazing, open world adventures in completely different ways, but both of them are super great that I can't choose one over the other.
Yeah, it's hard. There's just. So, Robert, what have you been playing besides Super Mario? Or what's your opinion on Super Mario? I mean,
it is so far my favorite 3D Mario.
Yeah.
With that being said, I'm not very far in there at all. The little bit that I have played, I have not been able to play on the big screen TV. I've been playing not in handheld mode because of the motion control, so I've been having it propped up. For what it is, it controls really well, but I am a little bummed with how much motion controls there are in there.
Yeah.
There are some moves that you have to use motion to do, and others that are just very difficult to do without motion.
Mm-hmm.
I also find myself not being able to do some of the moves just consistently with the motion. Which is just a little frustrating.
Are you playing with the Pro or the?
I'm using the Joy-Cons since it's so
Pro.
motion based.
Well, I use the Pro, and
it's easy.
It's easy with the Pro. Even the motion stuff is really easy with the Pro. I haven't found anything that I can't pull off consistently with the Pro controller.
What are you doing for the spin throwing your hat attack? Are you just twirling the left joystick and then throwing it?
Just doing it like that.
That's what I started doing, but it takes longer than if you get good at doing the motion for it. You have to wind up.
The hat going around
the
you?
Spinning?
The spinning hat.
That's just left and right with the motion control. That's all I do.
Yeah,
and when I do it,
up, it's up. So
yep, I just flip it up.
I can do it 8 out of 10 times, but it's just not consistent enough, and I probably just need to do it more. Like I said, I haven't played that long yet, but that's just my initial impressions with the motion, and I'm sure just like any control scheme, it'll get easier with time.
Yeah.
And I do need to try it on the TV.
There's something, I'm just using it for the basics, but there's some things it doesn't tell you, like when you're the electric Mario and you're going along the thing, it tells you shake it to move.
To go faster.
And you don't go faster. It's you go off to get coins that are off to the side, but you can also just hit the button to do that. It doesn't tell you that.
You mean when you're traveling along the wires?
Yeah, when you're traveling along the wire and there's coins next to it, if you either shake it or hit the jump button, I believe, you just go and you'll go off of it and get the coins that come back to the wire.
Oh, that's cool.
But the only thing that I really have thought that you kind of need is the hat in a circle one. Everything else is pretty much optional, and that's only very situational when there's like a bunch of little enemies that you could be extra careful and just do the straight.
Absolutely. It's not a necessary move at all.
Yeah.
But playing in handheld mode is hard.
That's my biggest problem with it.
See,
because of the motions. I can't play in handheld. And that's how I play 90% of the time.
Well, and I've played probably 75% of it in handheld mode, and I haven't found any problems not using the motion controls at all. I haven't had any situation where
it's not the motion controls for me so much as the little control sticks. Are different than a normal stick, so it was partly because I was used to the Pro controller at that point because I didn't try handheld.
I got these new Control Freak covers that make the stick bigger. Well,
it's not even that; it's just that they slide. It's the slidey thing side to side rather than actually tilting a stick. Yeah. So the feeling is a little different, and then also go for the right one where you're moving the camera a lot. And then having to go back to the buttons is a little more cumbersome for me than it is on the Pro controller.
Yeah. But when I'm in tabletop, I use the Pro, and I haven't had any issues with the motion or anything like that. What I need to do is, I've been thinking about is you can actually go into the settings and turn the motion controls off. Mm-hmm. So I wonder if that changes anything.
It doesn't. No, you can ignore the motion or just turn them off so they don't get in your way.
Gotcha. Okay.
It doesn't change the control scheme.
I didn't know.
Has anybody tried two-player mode yet to see how that works?
I don't even know what it is. I didn't even know.
One of you controls Cappy.
Yeah, one of you controls the hat. That's all I know.
Oh, that seems terrible.
But I don't know if you just are limited to the same moves you have when you're playing single player, because that just seems super weird.
It seems super weird more because you're using Cappy all the time and it's very integral to what you're doing.
How could you even rely on them? Especially some of the more advanced parkour moves where you're wall jumping and dive jumping midair, bouncing off your hat and trying to continue that. You couldn't do that with somebody.
Yeah, well, I'm not even doing much of that anyway. Cause
I can't even do that regularly.
Yeah, I'm not either. I'm not doing much of that anyhow. So
it's easy to jump off your cap if you're just on
the ground.
Because you just run into it and he'll bounce off of it. But if you have to go jump to it, that's much harder.
You have to jump in the air, throw your cap out, do the dive jump in the air. Hopefully you hit your cap and then that'll bounce you up.
Yeah.
And oh my god!
It's cool that it's in there.
Anywhere that you need it.
Yeah.
It's an ordeal.
Yeah,
I usually do the kind of backflip jump and wall jumping, normal jumps. It'll get you pretty much anywhere you need to go.
Triple jumps there, you got all that.
Yeah.
Triple jump if you want it. Usually
I'm a fan of rolling down hills. That's fun.
Yes. I do it for no good reason.
Yeah.
Wee, I'm going to roll.
I'm just going to roll.
Just for the heck of it. Just because I can. Just because I can. So.
Cool. But I love it. I think Mario Odyssey is, it's amazing so far, and I'm really excited to see where it goes, to see if I like it more than Zelda at the end of the day, and I still need to get back into Horizon, so I still got some of the year's best games ahead of me.
Yeah, I still haven't played much of Horizon. I put it in, started playing it, and I think something came along for review I had to do, and then I did it, and then I didn't come back. I don't remember why. I don't know.
Yeah.
Too many choices, so.
Yeah, so I've been trying to clear out my hard drive of games that I've started. So I've been going through and trying to complete Crash 1. I am, I think, on the second to last level now. So I'm getting there. Then I only got Crash 2 and Crash 3, but I'm not going to start those right away. I'm going to clear out some of the other stuff before I move into those. They're not so important right now.
Cool.
But it's hard. It's Crash.
Yeah, I mean, it's
frustrating.
Yeah,
I did break the game at one point. There's a snowy mountain-esque rope level with bridges throughout the whole thing, and you have to jump on these turtles and bounce over a bunch of stuff. But I found a way to get on top of the ropes, and I could just run alongside. Kind of like in Mario, with the first underground level, you could run above everything. I just ran along everything and avoided every single obstacle and just speed ran that thing. It was amazing.
Later,
I spent a month and a half on that level. And I was
Isn't that the way it usually goes with games like that, though? It's like,
yeah.
Been there, done that. So, but it's cool. It's Crash. So
that's right.
You can't go wrong with Crash. So.
All right, true.
All right, Eric, start the Bible here.
All right, drum roll. All right, so let's start with the stuff I most recently played. We'll do that. For some reason this week I fired up the Wii. My wife said, let's play some games. So I fired up the Wii, gave her the long list, and we settled on Ghost Squad for the Wii. I don't know if any of you have ever played that.
It's by
Capcom.
Yeah.
It's a shooter. It's decent. like Time Crisis, pretty much.
Yeah,
is what
it's
I think
like a rail
time I
shooter,
play
like
it.
Time Crisis. Me and Nikki played it a lot, when it first came out.
Dialogue is terrible.
Oh, but they all are in those games.
Yeah, it's fun.
I totally expect that in those games.
I played a little bit of GTA 5, some more Dying Light. You've heard about that stuff before. I played some SNK Arcade Classics Volume 1 for the Wii. Not too bad. I think I just played Samurai Showdown and King of Fighters 95. I don't know. It's a game I have. Probably never get rid of it because, the emulation on it's pretty good.
Yeah.
And I picked up, when I was down at the convention in Portland, the Retro Gaming Expo, I picked up Data East Arcade Classics at a local GameStop. That game is incredibly hard to find and very expensive on the secondary market.
Yeah.
$50 plus. And I forgot how crappy some of those arcade games are.
Yeah.
I played with it for like 5-10 minutes. Like, well, it's $25 at GameStop. I'll hang on to it. It has some, it's just, it's mostly stuff that hasn't aged too well.
Yeah. Too Bad Dudes and...
Heavy Barrel. That's
Heavy
the one I was
Barrel.
playing.
Yeah.
I'm like, ooh, these controls. Jeez. Well, it's not bad. When I was down for the Retro Gaming Expo, I brought down my Genesis, my Retron 5, and I bought the PS2 as well. So I had lots to play from. And in case I picked up anything, I wanted to have many options to test it, even though they say it works,
Right.
Play a little bit of Outrun Coast to Coast.
I love that game. I have it on PSP. It is awesome on PSP.
It is pretty cool. I only dabbled in it for like half an hour, so I got to get back to it. I played Taito Legends 2 for PS2. It's a minigame collection of all the Taito games, things like Puzzle Bobble, stuff like that. It is an incredible collection. It has a lot of good games that you cannot get anywhere else. Lots of fun arcade stuff. Much better collection than the Data East collection, trust me. I actually played through with my buddy, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie. He'd never played it. We fired up that Genesis copy I have.
Yeah.
It's okay. I think it's like 6 stages, 7 stages. I was like, that's it? And
Yeah, when you play those old
games.
games like that, you don't realize you don't remember how short they were because
He's
they
like,
You
were,
just played through them over and over
well,
and
yeah,
over.
you played
Yeah.
through them over and over again, or they were so hard when you were a little kid that you'd only get maybe 2 or 3 stages in. You didn't realize that you only had another stage to go and it was done.
It's not super challenging, but I do remember that out of these games, I really like the one for Super Nintendo, the original Power Rangers game. That's a beat 'em up 2. It's 2-player. That one's pretty good. Versus the Genesis one is a fighting game. Yeah, it wasn't too bad, I guess. I mean, Power Rangers.
Yeah, it's funny how those games back then were different. Like they had Batman Returns on the Genesis and they had it on the Super Nintendo. On the Super Nintendo, it was a beat 'em up. On the Genesis, it was like a platforming action adventure game. So
Very true.
It's like totally different.
Played some Mortal Kombat 2. My friend owned this game growing up, and so he still remembered a lot of stuff and kicked the crap out of me multiple times. But it was still fun. Talk about how that game is. I mean, it's not horrible. It hasn't aged the greatest, but still fun to play. And then recently, I fired up Uncharted Lost Legacy. I'm almost done. Very last chapter. Having a blast. Really good game. Really enjoyed the story. There's a few things, a couple little parts of it that kind of annoy me, but kind of annoying. Same sort of stuff that annoys me about Uncharted. So
Yeah.
It's still really good. I mean, I'm pretty sure we'll probably see that one on sale for Black Friday. Probably, I bet $20 or less.
I got it with a season pass. I still haven't
too.
even fired it up yet. So
It's good.
It's really good.
I'm sure it is.
Good. Yeah.
One of those games. I'll play it eventually.
I don't know. I feel a little bit of Uncharted fatigue right now.
Yeah, it's like-
Oh, yeah.
I haven't completed it.
You're like, oh, I should play some Uncharted. Save it for then, so you could throw in something that's new.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I had my copy of Dishonored in my PS4 this weekend. I was going to finish it. So close. Been talking about that for weeks, but it's on my list. I've got this to-do list of games, and it's at the top. Also, South Park is on there, too. But, I don't know when I'm going to get to that anytime soon.
Yeah.
But that's it. I've been playing lots of stuff because it's been a couple weeks since I've been on the show. But trucking along. Been surprising myself, finding myself little bits of time, 20 minutes, 30 minutes here, playing stuff.
Well, that's all you can do sometimes, I mean, that's all you can do. Cool. Well, let's get into the news because we actually got a bunch of stuff we can actually talk about.
It's long.
But we won't dwell too much on it. The first thing that I saw early, just a couple days ago, was a leaked online a flyer that was apparently is in an upcoming issue of Game Informer. $6 or 6 months, $60. GameStop is going to start what they call the Power Pass Unlimited Gaming. It's actually a rental system. Pretty much.
Is this the first time we've heard this?
This is the first time
I've heard this before.
Yeah,
there's been rumors of it.
When I read it, I was like, something want to read.
There's been rumors, but this video won't stop playing. There we go.
And I don't know how much of that is insider knowledge on my part. I don't know if maybe I heard this behind closed doors.
Yeah, you may have heard it behind closed doors. That's what I was just getting ready to say. You might have heard this. They might have talked this. But apparently it's going to start the 19th of November. And my understanding of it is, everything that I've read, is you pay $60. You rent from the pre-owned games in the store. And if you choose to keep that game, then you just keep it. And for $60, that's what it costs you. So technically what you could do is you could wait until month 5. And then at the end of that month, you're like, you know what?
Assassin's Creed just came out.
Assassin's Creed just came out. They have a used copy of it. I've played every new game up to this point that they've had used. This is where I'm going to keep this game. So then you could just resub again for $60.
For someone like me, this might be actually really, really good. Because I'm like, wow. Well, I can think of a few games I can rent and then get the last one and be like, I'm going to keep this because I was going to buy it anyway.
There's 2 situations that I could see this would really be good. Now, a lot of people are writing it off, saying it's dumb, it's the stupidest thing in the world, GameStop's going to make any money on it. Well, it's not going to be for everybody, for starters. Secondly, I live in a small rural community, like we talked about at the beginning of the show. We have 4 Redboxes in this area within a 10-mile radius. And then after that words, if you want to go to Redbox, you'd have to go 30 miles, 40 miles away. Something like this, there is a GameStop right here in town. A lot of times, like we also talked before the show, one of Eric's GameStops already has a used copy of Mario Odyssey. One of my GameStops already has a used copy of Assassin's Creed Origin. There's always new games coming into the GameStops, usually the day after, especially if it's a system, like let's say a new system or a new game comes out and they do a system bundle. A lot of guys will buy the system bundle and then buy the collector's edition of the game and dump the game. So there's a brand new copy on the shelf. So, I mean, some communities, I can see it in a bigger town like Raleigh, Charlotte, Los Angeles, probably no big deal. I'm not going to go over road, but a smaller community where there's not as many GameStops or not as many Redboxes as there are, I could see this going over pretty well. And I don't know, Robert might be able to attest to this, but when I worked at GameStop, we always had those few little customers that took advantage of the 7-day return policy on games.
That's what I was about to get to.
Yeah.
So my take on this is this can only help GameStop.
Yeah.
There's always customers who will come in, buy a game for 5 days, return it, buy another game for 5 days, return it. And we're not making it. Well, they're not making any money off of that.
Yeah.
So this is a way to get some of that back. I think it's a great idea.
I
also think it's going to be a test market before it goes anywhere. So this is probably from some random, Game Informer or random ad that's going to be in a store that's got like 200 people that come into it, a week or something.
Yeah. It would be.
And then if it does well, if it's received well, it'll expand and they'll test it in larger cities until finally they'll make their final decision on it.
Well, it's
kind of what they did with the updated membership card that they got.
Yeah, it's an interesting idea, and a lot of people are writing it off, going, "Well, my mom and pop store used to do this, and it was terrible." Yeah, but this is not the same thing as your mom and pop store. Your mom and pop store only did the rentals, did the rentals with it, and you paid $3 for that rental, and then you brought it back. This is something that you pay $60 for 6 months. You could really work the system, especially on games like Call of Duty, Assassin's Creed. Uncharted, games that you could beat in 20-30 hours. You can squeeze a lot of gaming in a short amount of time, especially with guys that really don't have a whole lot to do or have a lot of free time on their hands.
I'm really curious to see how this is going to affect GameStop's Circle of Life type of business practices. So the reason employees hate it when customers would take advantage of that stuff is because it's just transactions that aren't helping their numbers.
Well, yeah.
This is not going to help their numbers, but if it's a whole nother metric, maybe Circle of Life is on its way out.
Could be. Well, like I said, we always had the guys that would come in, they'd buy a $20 game, and then 4 days later he'd come in and go, I've already beat it. Okay, well, pick out something else. They go pick out something else, and it's a $15 game. You end up giving them $5 back. But we'd always put it on a gift card. We try to keep it in the system one way or the other. They never got cash back.
If they have their receipt.
Yeah. That's sometimes, but it got to the point where sometimes it was like, nope, I'm not giving you cash back because you've done
absolutely.
If
they're taking advantage of it, that is absolutely the clerk's right.
I'm here to milk the system.
Yeah, you've done it 7 weeks in a row. But what were you going to say, Nathaniel? I'm sorry, I think I cut you off.
I was just saying my first reaction to this was almost too good to be true kind of a thing, where they'll try it this way and it's going to something's going to change about it because it seems way too good of a deal for the consumer, and GameStop might be, getting back from some of the people who are doing what you guys are just talking about and get a little bit of money, but it seems like in the long run they'd lose a bunch of money. So why would you actually just buy some of these used games when you could do this instead and just keep renting them in and out? You're not, there's certainly people who will go in and buy used games and keep them. It's not everybody who's trying to game the system, but if they had the option to do this instead, they're like, oh, this is a great deal. So maybe in the long run, there would have spent about $60 anyway, or maybe not. Who knows? It's just one of those things that seems like, wow, that's actually a really good deal for people. I don't know that it's going to be able to hold up in the long run. We'll just have to see.
I don't know. I think it's just another way for GameStop to try to keep the doors open.
Yeah.
I mean, and bring people in.
They're just throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks.
Yeah, at this point they are. The thing is, a lot of people complain, now I go into GameStops and it's nothing but toys and T-shirts and this and that. Well, what you got to realize is there's 40% profit on those T-shirts, games, and toys and stuff sitting on it. That's the big profit margin. They ain't making profit off of that new copy of Assassin's Creed or Call of Duty you're buying. They're making profit.
You're buying an Xbox One X. They're making $1.
Yeah, they're making nothing. They're barely.
It's kind of like microtransactions for cosmetic items in a free-to-play game. It's like just real life. So they make all their money on these things. Not everyone's going to come and get it, but they make enough from that to keep it going.
Right. A lot of people come in and go, oh well, like this weekend, I think it was if you bought Mario, you got 20% off any Mario paraphernalia that they had in the store, and you're like, oh, 20% off, that's a pretty good price, I'll get this Mario poster or this that. Yeah, they're still making money over that. That's
they're still making 40%.
They're still making 40% on it, even though they're giving you 20% off of it. They're still making.
And that sounds awful, but that's literally that's any
business.
Company that sells that sort of merchandise. All of no matter where you buy that,
Walmart, Target, all of it's like that. Their clothes, they get those clothes for next to nothing, and they sell them for $10, $15. They make money off that. I mean, that's the way business is. And once and it's easy for somebody that's never been in the business, any kind of retail business, to stand back and go, well, this is just dumb. I hate GameStop. I'm not going in here anymore. No, you got to understand, they're in it to make money. I mean, and
for how long have you wished you could find a figure for your favorite game, and now they're finally there, and everyone's complaining, this is cluttering up my store. Well, now you can actually see the product and not just order it and hope it looks nice when it gets to your doorstep.
Well, there's also this thing called video games don't take up that much shelf space. It's usually going on like the outside walls of a GameStop anyway. You had some stuff in the middle of GameStops in the past, but they get rid of that and put T-shirts and stuff instead. You're not really losing that many games.
No, they're getting rid of more marketing and putting more product.
Yeah, and in this whole rental thing, I think I don't know if it's, like I say, I don't know if it's going to go over nationwide. I don't think GameStop's going to make a ton of money on it, but I think in certain areas of the country, especially rural areas, it will go over very, very well.
And this could even be like a gateway for people to play games.
It could be.
And then once you move out of your parents' house and you got your own job, you're going to start buying games. You're not going to want to do this anymore. Yeah, you have that disposable income.
Exactly.
It's just another option.
Yeah. I mean, I don't see, but Friday there was hate. There was hate going around.
It's because GameStop was in the title.
I know. It was the minute I saw it, there was hate going around. It was just like, geez, let it go, people. Let it go.
It's GameStop and it's the internet.
Yeah.
Together, you're going to get hate.
I had to go through my Twitter feed and mute people again because it was just like, I don't want to see negativity on my feed anymore. I'm tired of it. So anybody here have an Xbox One besides me? Oh,
I gave mine up.
Crickets.
okay. Well, if anybody had one and you wanted a Kinect, they're not making them anymore. So Microsoft has officially ended manufacturing of the Xbox One.
I thought they did this a long time ago. That's how much anyone pays attention to the Kinect.
Yeah, they reduced the price and stopped talking about them.
Yeah, they reduced the price, stopped bundling them, and stopped talking about it. So they've officially stopped making Kinects.
There's a total of 12 games on the Xbox One.
I was like, when's the last game for Kinect come out? Was it still at launch, or did they do many past?
There was a few.
There was a few, but not very many. The thing about it is I never. Well, I won't say I never used my Kinect. When the Kinect first came out, we used it for gaming, Kinect Sports, and this and that. We used it more for Netflix. Pause, play, stop, instead of having a controller in my hand. Using it. Now, I will say that when the Xbox One first came out, the way they had that stupid menu set up.
Oh, man, you had
to have a Kinect because it was just so hard to navigate through it without a Kinect. I tell you what, now, just last week, I think, or a week or two ago, they did the latest update for the dashboard. It is the best that it has ever been. I like it. I like it a lot. It's so much easier to navigate. It's so much easier to find what you want. It's cleaner, and I like it. And it's the first time that I've said I've liked a dashboard on the Xbox since the Xbox 360.
But it was always a few years. I'm glad it's getting better.
Yeah, it's way better. It is way better. It is more like the original 360 setup now.
Good, because the 360 setup works pretty well for a menu that's controller driven.
Well, what was funny was when I turned on my Xbox for the first time in 2 months, and I just have it hooked up and it just automatically updates, so I don't ever know when it's really updating or anything. And I turned it on, and when the original Xbox backwards compatibility came out, and I went, whoa, this whole menu's changed. Look at this. This is so much easier to navigate. I actually know where things are at and what's going on. This is amazing. It's pretty good. But yeah, I mean, for those that like the Kinect, I think the only thing that anybody ever used it for was probably a camera for streaming, and if they wanted to have them on camera and for the voice controls. But now they have USB camera support for the Kinect, so you could just...
That was my question, there's an alternative now.
Yeah, you can just slap any old USB camera on it and it works just fine.
So even like a crummy, cheap webcam, like a $15
like this webcam that I have right here, I can just pop it off and pop it in the Xbox and boom.
That works.
And when I'm streaming, I can have my face on the screen. So, I mean, if anybody's actually streaming through the system, I think a lot of people do, but I think most people still use an Elgato. But here's an interesting story for everybody. Sony to publish Nintendo Switch games under new label.
This is such a weird one.
This is very weird.
It's big company has many arms and they don't talk to each other.
You are exactly right. That is exactly what I was just getting ready to say.
But regardless of that, Sony knows they have a game division, so why would they even...
Well, but the thing is...
Music division wanted to get in on games. Yay.
Yeah, this is their PC division who is publishing games, and... what's funny is this is one of those things where over here you have Sony, PlayStation. Over here you have their TV. Over here you have their mobile. Over here you have their PC. Over here you have...
Do they even have a
music.
PC division
I don't know. I don't know.
They got rid of the VAIO.
They may have. I don't know if the VAIO is still a thing or not. I know there's still video editing software that's under the Sony VAIO name, but I don't know if that's computer Sony or if that's... Yeah, I don't know what that is, but yeah, so this was pretty interesting that Sony Music has created Unities in response to the indie game movement centered around... Is that Unties? Oh, it sure is. I'm sorry, that is Unties.
Little different.
Well, my eyes
it looks very similar if you're just glancing at it.
I was just glancing at it, and I need new glasses, so...
So you were just screwed from the get-go.
I was screwed from the get-go. So it's an indie game movement centered around North America, which continues to draw attention even within Indiana. So pretty much what it is this little division of Sony is going to make games, and they were going to end up on the Switch. Which is funny to me.
I don't think they're making games; they're just publishing them.
Yeah, they're just publishing.
Yeah.
They're just publishing.
It could be really interesting. Everybody. It's another way to make money.
Well, yeah, and
I mean, the way I see this is it's kind of like with movie studios that have all of their little like indie labels and all this stuff that technically it's under the same umbrella, but Fox has
right.
Fox Searchlight and this and that, and you some of the times don't even realize what company it's under because you see the name on the front of it, but it's actually like all like not this tiny little thing. It's actually like Warner Brothers or somebody actually owns it.
Yeah.
Similar here.
Nintendo Switch is the top-selling console again in September.
Surprise!
Really, if you count it, the one thing that I read, it wasn't really in this article. If you count the NES Classic as a hardware or a console, it actually outsold everybody. Technically, by numbers wise, if it was a console, it sold more than the Nintendo Switch did. So depending on which list you look at,
but that's not necessarily fair either because there's still Switches everywhere.
Right. Well, you know
hey,
what,
guys.
And it's a little more expensive.
Yeah. I wanted to interject. There's actually an update to the GameStop article that we were talking about on Kotaku right now. And it says that the program is officially starting November 19th. It is available only to Power Up Reward members so that the game they've got can be tracked. You can only choose from games on the shelf in a physical store, not from the online catalog. And they do mean any pre-owned game. There won't be any restrictions or limited pools to choose from.
So not only do you pay $60, but you have to be a $15 a year Pro member too. So technically, it's $70.
Oh no!
You don't. You just have to be a Power Up Rewards member.
I thought you said
free
Pro.
gamer. Nope, just Power Up Rewards in general, so that they can track the games you have.
Well, that makes sense. I thought you said Pro.
If it wasn't that would be a new system for it. So just use the system you already.
Yeah, use the system you got. So yeah, well, that makes sense. Cool. Yeah. Let's see.
Sorry about that.
Oh no, you're fine.
Did it say anything in the article? Is it rolling out everywhere? There's not going to be like a certain chunk just going?
From what I can see, it is company-wide.
Man. I'll have to think about this.
That'd be everywhere. Yeah. That'd be interesting to see. I might try.
It just passed whatever their testing stages would be.
Might be nice for my wife, when Switch games that I don't have that she wants to play that she doesn't really want to buy. But let's see. Switch passed 2 million units sold in the U.S. since launch. When combined with sales from the 3DS and the Super NES Classic, Nintendo hardware accounted for 2/3 of the month's total hardware sold.
Wow.
So
that
that's
makes
pretty
sense
good.
Because, PlayStation 4 is still selling pretty well, but it's not like... there's tons of them out there already, so it's not like the first surge of it, which we're still kind of in that with the Switch plus the SNES Classic, which is just a big old tidal wave of.
And it's the Switch's first holiday, so it's just going to keep ramping up.
Well, and we were out Friday. We had to run to Walmart, and they had 7 or 8 Switches that we could have bought right then. 3 Mario, 3 Splatoon, and I think 4 or 5 just of the regular ones. So, I mean, it seems like, at least around here, they're pretty easy to find. All the GameStops in the area have them.
Not here.
Yeah. Well, and like I say, you live in... You guys
have a, smaller pool of people.
Yeah,
whereas
exactly.
Here, there's people within, 40 miles. We'll go to all sorts of places.
I haven't had any issues finding
here.
Switches recently. I know the GameStops had them. When I picked up Mario, I went to a Best Buy to get it. And they only had 1 Mario left, but they had a stack of Switches on their customer service counter.
Yeah,
I think they're getting them in enough that if you get in at the right time, you can see them out now. But
I have a feeling though by the end of the month you're probably not going to find one after Black Friday because that's when everybody.
Yeah, and the holidays, everybody's going to want one for Christmas.
Well, and that's what I say. Not that everybody buys. Not that there's going to be a sale on them on Black Friday. Just a lot of people shop on Black Friday for Christmas stuff. So
it's crazy that it's the Switch's first holiday. It feels like it's been a really long time since it's been out, but
it feels like it's been 2 years.
Yeah.
It seems like it's been a while, but nope.
It's like, wait, we can't have a Zelda and Mario game in the same year. What?
Yeah, what? This ain't right. But I kind of touched on this earlier. Limited Run announced this week that they will be making physical copies of Switch games. They finally got approval from Nintendo to do this. They haven't said what their first game is going to be yet. Like I said, there was an interview the other day with somebody. I just read it this afternoon, and they kind of hinted that it may be Golf Story. I was trying to think of what indie games on the Switch.
Please not Binding of Isaac.
Well, it's already out. They've already have a physical version of it out. So they wouldn't do a limited run of it. They've already done 2 printings of Binding of Isaac.
Any of the indie games that are in the top sellers are probably something they're looking at.
Stardew Valley.
Because you want something that will have enough buzz that someone who doesn't pay attention to it as much and doesn't download things, if they see this physical copy, like, ooh, I might want that. Or you want it to a person like you who is more of a collector, say, oh, I want a physical version of that thing that I've already played.
My only problem that I have with limited run games is it's so hard to get the games when they come out.
Very true. You get 2 windows. You get one in the morning. They usually come out on Fridays. You get one in the afternoons. And they're usually gone in 10 minutes. Yeah, and if you don't work on a Friday, like me, perfect. But for everybody else, it's pretty tough. I don't work on a Friday, and I even had a hard time to getting them. It was just hard. I never got Wonder Boy. I tried both times to get Wonder Boy, and now that there's a Switch version on PlayAsia that I can get that's in English, I'm not even worried about getting it on PlayStation 4 now. It's like I don't need limited run games. The thing is with the Switch is there's a lot of those indie games that are coming out physically. I bought that Tiny Barbarian game the other day. The only reason I bought it was because A, it was physical, and 2, it came with a instruction manual, and it was a real nice box. I actually hadn't even played the game until this afternoon. I bought it 2 weeks ago, and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot I bought that game. Popped it in, played it. Fantastic. It is awesome little 8-bit game. It's so cool. Check that out.
Yeah, check it out. It's really neat.
It's better than Has Been Heroes, right?
Oh yeah.
Sorry, game is not good.
It's all right. It's not that great. But I will try to get some of the limited run games if it's something I like. I'd like to see them do maybe a Stardew Valley physical. That would be cool just to have. I like the limited run things, but
will be one because I think Stardew Valley will be physical without them.
Yeah, I think they will. They've done physical without them before. They did it on Xbox and PlayStation 4. Yeah. I'm having a hard time thinking of what other. I'd have to go back and look at the charts and see what's out. I'm just off the top of my head. I can't think of any that either doesn't have a physical. Maybe Wolven Blade that doesn't have a physical. I could see them maybe doing that one. It's a small company. Golf Story.
They haven't even decided which ones they want to get. They have a couple maybe, and then they'll spread out from there.
Yeah, and it's going to be next year before they do it anyway. But what's funny is people are still asking them for. I follow them on Twitter, and people ask them all the time, "When are you going to do Xbox? When are you going to do Xbox? When are you going to do Xbox?"
They're not.
They're not going to do Xbox because Xbox requires X amount of games to be printed, and it's more than they want to print.
Yep, and that's why they were able to do it with Sony for so long.
Yeah, because Sony didn't care. Nintendo had a smaller set too. The trouble was actually getting a hold of the chips. They were having a chip shortage right off the bat. But it'll be interesting to see, and the internet will lose its mind, and everybody will be mad because they can't get it like they always are. So,
and I'll just be like, I played that already. Yeah. I don't care.
I mean. I'll try, but if it's something that I really, really want, but I'm not going to break my neck to get it, and I'm not going to cry and whine. Plus, there's one of the mom and pop stores in Greensboro actually has a deal with limited run, and they get the games. So I have a buddy that lives in Greensboro, so I'll probably just be like, hey, just go down and buy it for me at the store and mail it to me. Then I don't have to break my neck online to try to get it. So Nintendo did a whatever they call them. Direct, thank you. Nintendo Direct this week, announcing Animal Crossing Pocket Camp. That'll be coming out in November for mobile. Are you stoked? I kind of don't care one way or the other. Well, I do too.
Tom Nook is annoying enough when he's not asking for real money.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I mean, I'd be more excited if it was on the Switch, but this is, I think it's just the perfect home for it. It's a game that you want to spend 5-10 minutes in after your initial setup of your town and do your chores or whatever and get out.
It's not going to be. It's not really going to be like that though.
It is on a smaller scale.
Well, I mean,
I know people who are playing it right now, and they say it's Animal Crossing enough. I'm sorry.
said it'll have lots and lots of countdown timers, I assume, because there's
They're
lots
not too
of
bad.
opportunity in that type of game.
Yeah.
I think it's a cool
That
thing.
is
It's just
definitely the
not for me.
microtransaction.
It's
It
just
isn't.
not
It isn't for everybody. Yeah.
So it says Animal Crossing Camp, Pocket Camp, plays out like previous console entries with a few tweaks. Rather than managing a town, Pocket Camp tasks players with managing a personalized campsite. If you gather materials around your world, like cotton or wood, you can craft furniture for your campsite by placing them in order. But you can also make the process easier by earning or buying with real-world cash leaf tickets, which can be used to shorten crafting times or more easily acquire materials among the benefits. We'll see what it comes out.
It's just like any other free-to-play game on a
Yeah.
phone that has those monetary in it.
Yeah,
I'm sure it's fine. I just
I'm
don't
sure
play
it's
that many
fine.
games on my phone.
I
don't really either.
I don't either.
I mean, it's something I'll fiddle with when I'm bored, and that'll be that. I'm not going to spend. Well, I say that now, but I said that with the original on the 3DS. And
I say this now that it'll probably be like probably like Super Mario Run and Fire Emblem was for me. I'll play it for about the first week and be like, yeah, this is pretty cool, and then I'll never open the stupid thing up again because that's just the way.
Not if I'm leaving you notes in your campsite, John.
I just turn off notifications, and then you'll just see there won't be nobody there, and be like, "Where's John?"
You'll be getting roaches in your campsite.
Well, I'd hate to see what my Animal Crossing on the GameCube has in it right now because it hasn't been opened up for like 10 15 years. It's still on that memory card, so
that's why I refuse to turn my Animal Crossing back on for the 3DS. I don't want to see what's become of my town.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
I think I had the beautiful town ordinance on though, so they should be taking care of it in my stead.
Man, can you imagine? Well, you've been gone for years. It's like,
good job keeping things up, guys.
We haven't been paid. We haven't. Yeah.
You become that weird mystery guy on the hill that no one ever sees. You just stay mansion.
Oh, that'd be hilarious. Sunset Overdrive 2 could happen, and it could be multi-platform with the right publisher.
This is just them saying, please let us make Sunset Overdrive 2, even though the first one didn't make enough money.
Well, GoFundMe or Kickstarter.
The CEO said...
Because they know they wouldn't get it.
Yeah, do you realize, when this story came out, I decided to see how many copies... digital and physical, that Sunset Overdrive sold to date.
And keep in mind, it was free.
Yeah, well, I'm not. This doesn't count the free one. The free. This is just people bought it this is 3 years to the day it came out. 3 years ago yesterday, which is the 28th. It sold 1.4 million copies in 3 years. That's not good. I mean, I know it's a good game. It rated well. It's a fun game, but people didn't buy it. Now, whether that's because it was on Xbox and it was a very limited, group of people, I don't know.
I don't know because I'm a big fan of them, and I was never super interested in it. Even when I got the free one, I created my character and then never went back.
Well, I played it for a little while on the free one, and when I got it for free, and that was it. It was a good game, but it wasn't a game for me. Yeah. But yeah, what were you going to say, Nathaniel? Multiple factors.
Sunset Overdrive is I wasn't going to say more on that, but I think Sunset Overdrive is really good that they made it because it's going to make the Spider-Man game better. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of the movement systems that they had to make for Sunset Overdrive from scratch again, a lot of those systems they are putting into the Spider-Man game. Right. That if they didn't have that sort of basis to start from already, that I think it would have been a lot harder for them to really get a great Spider-Man game going. But I think because they did that, and if you look at the movement systems in Sunset Overdrive with all the leaping and jumping and landing on things, you can see how that would translate into Spider-Man and could be pretty cool.
Yeah.
All they have to do is make web slinging part of it fun, but as far as just jumping around and doing some combat stuff, throwing a little bit of Arkham and a little bit of that, I really want to play the Spider-Man game. I don't care if they ever make a Sunset Overdrive 2. Even though I was kind of interested in playing it, I never got it because I don't have an Xbox. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't care if they make another one.
I don't know.
Spider-Man.
Your Xbox fanboys are crying foul because Microsoft doesn't care about first party anymore. They don't care about first party anymore. Your Sony fans are piling on to the Xbox fans because they're laughing at them because Microsoft won't publish Sunset Overdrive 2, and everybody's like, "Oh, Sony will do it." No, I don't think Sony's going to do it either.
No.
I don't think anybody's going to do it. Any game that only sells 1.5 million copies in 3 years is not viable for a system.
It did have a big enough sort of splash as far as just visibility. People recognize the name.
What was its budget, though? Did it make its money back? Was it profitable?
I have no idea. I didn't look that deep into it. I just I went on the whatever the VGA or site is that you can pull numbers from.
Yeah. As far as Microsoft is concerned, they don't have that much money that they're throwing around just to first party in general. So this game, they're going to look at it and be like, it was cool that we had this, but we can't afford to try and do another one. It's too much of a risk.
And
they're not going to do it.
And that's what I told somebody on Twitter today. I said, look, Microsoft is batting from third place now. I mean, so Nintendo has jumped them. Sony is pounding them. And now Nintendo has pounced on top of them. Microsoft they don't have a whole lot of wiggle room, but Microsoft continues we've got to put out another console. This is the other thing that I didn't even think about till the other day. When the Xbox One X comes out, this will be the third Xbox One console in 4 years. You had the base unit, you had the S, and now you have the X. And that's
you have the same with PlayStation. They had the original, the Slim, and the Pro.
Well, yeah, but still, I mean, this is insane. Hardware every other year is getting to be crazy. Now, not everybody's buying it, but Microsoft is banking so much on this Xbox One X that they have totally neglected first-party games this year. So they have shifted where they want to put their money at. And
I think that's not necessarily true, because a lot of the decisions that led to this coming out this year is stuff that happened quite a while ago. They couldn't have changed it. And then as far as the games go, just a lot of the games that were planned for this year got canceled because of a bunch of things that you couldn't have foreseen at the start. So it's not necessarily that. It's just that kind of things worked out to where they have this kind of.
Has a lot been canceled or
no? They've
delayed?
just been put
All
delayed.
I know is Crackdown.
Things delayed and canceled.
Crackdown.
But just think of the other games like what's the weird dragony one that got canceled.
Oh yeah, I forget the name of it. They got canceled.
I don't know if they would have landed here or not, but it's just saying in general.
Well, I mean,
they're having a little bit of a drought, but they're still selling enough stuff that they're doing okay. It's just they're not as high as everybody else.
I think it's 1%. I think they had 1% this quarter, which, I mean, it's better than a loss. I mean, I'd rather have a 1% growth than a no percent growth or a negative. I mean, but something's got to give at some point. You can put out all the consoles you want, but if you have no games on it, you can't rely on third-party games all the time. Nintendo can attest to that. They did good with the Wii U first party, but no third party killed it. So I mean, it's a balance. And I know Sony could. A lot of people are saying, well, Sony will take a risk. Sony will take a risk on a game that won't sell a lot. Look at NAC. Well, when you're sitting in the driver's seat and you could afford to take a loss, then but when you're playing from behind, and Microsoft's been playing from behind since the beginning, ever since that announcement at E3 when they went $500 and your games are stuck to this system and you can't and everybody went pitchforks and flames.
It's so funny how this time around is the complete opposite of it was the last generation. They're doing the same mistakes. It's just kind of funny.
Yeah.
But a box that's too expensive and you play catch up the rest of the way, you still sell okay, but you're still fighting that kind of negativity that you started yourself out with.
Yeah.
I don't know. This time last generation, Sony was closing the gap even, and it's not getting any smaller.
What, years in?
Well, we're 4 years in, but
we're
4 years in, but Microsoft but it was a 10-year life cycle then. So
I think what's hurting Microsoft mostly with the we don't have games thing is they're not the top console for where people would buy their multi-platform stuff. So it comes out on the Xbox. They're just not selling as many there because people have the PlayStation 4s this time around.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what's hurting them.
Yeah. Well, speaking of games on the Xbox, 13 original Xbox games are now available for backwards compatibility. Ninja Gaiden, Blacks, Knights of the Old Republic, Crimson Skies, Fusion Frenzy, Prince of Persia, Psychonauts, Black, Red Faction 2. Everybody thought I was crazy for hanging on to all my old Xbox games that were worthless. But guess what? I'm not going back and paying the money for these games when I can just throw my disc in and download
the price has gone up, especially for Ninja Gaiden Black. I just looked a few days ago. I was curious. It's like $30 now.
How much was it before? I know it was a high.
Under 10. Easy.
What? Nah, I think it was more than that. I think you're thinking the first Ninja Gaiden under 10. I think Black was always a little higher than $10.
I know it wasn't that much. Like it was definitely reasonable before.
Yeah.
Because I looked at Fusion Frenzy and I also looked at Knights of the Old Republic, and those two have only gone up like a little bit. But for some reason,
I was going to say, why would you want to buy a physical version of Ninja Gaiden Black for $30 when you can go buy it on digital on the store for $10?
They're cheap. And Knights of the Old Republic, you can get super cheap on PC. Like on Steam, I've seen it as cheap as like $2 or $3.
Yeah. Well, what's cool about these? They're all enhanced for 1080p, so they usually have quicker load times, smoother frame rates, everything like that. I have Knights of the Old Republic, I have Ninja Gaiden Black, I have Crimson Sky, I have Prince of Persia, I have Psychonauts.
Do you have Sid Meier's Pirates? That's a fun game.
No, I don't have that one.
It's not.
Do you think we will ever see Halo on these lists?
Yes.
Since they're waiting, I think, because the collection is out. Otherwise, you would figure they would put it in this first batch.
Yeah, I have a feeling we'll see it before.
It's a few interesting choices in this first list too. Like,
we'll definitely see it. I know
Black
they
is
made
a good game, but it's just odd that they decided to make that.
They finally made the 360 versions backwards compatible on the Xbox One, so they'd have no reason not to do the Xbox One.
I mean, they will. I don't know how soon they'll do it, but I have a feeling it'll be soon. I'd like to see Shenmue 2 before I'd like to see Halo, though. I don't know if that was going to happen or not.
Chronicles of Riddick game would be another.
Yeah, that would be a cool one too.
Ooh, I love that game.
Yeah, and I kept that. So I haven't had a chance to. I've been downloading a lot of them in preparation to try them at some point. I haven't tried it yet, but I've seen some comparison videos, and they do look a lot better and move a lot smoother and stuff. So to be able to play at least nights that would be really cool.
I mean, even if you're just upping the resolution on it, that'll make them look at least a little bit better.
Oh, yeah.
You've got muddy textures and stuff on it, but if they're also updating some textures, it could look pretty decent. Yeah.
And I'll tell you, that's the one thing that Microsoft is, I will say, doing better than Sony, is their backwards compatibility. And if you're invested in the Microsoft brand and you kept your 360 games and you kept your original Xbox games, and you have an Xbox One, I mean, the library could be humongous with great games. Now, granted, it's games you've probably played a dozen times over, but still, I think we're far enough away from Xbox games that unless you're somebody that has an original Xbox hooked up and plays it on a regular basis, you're far enough out that you could enjoy those games again, especially Crimson Skies. That was fun. If they had online with them, that would be awesome, which they don't. But if they had online with Crimson Skies, oh my gosh, I would be all over that. I will touch real quick on Lego Dimensions canceled. Anybody surprised by this? Toys for Life. Is that the last? There's no new Skylanders coming out this year, was there? They finally let that go? So,
they haven't mentioned it.
I hadn't heard, so I'm guessing that Activision's probably quietly either stomped that out or they're not coming out with a new one this year and it'll be next year before one comes. But the whole Toys to Life thing, I think we've all kind of...
I'm curious what the next kind of 3 to 4 year fad is going to be, because for a while it was plastic instrument games and we have Toys to Life games. What's the next one going to be?
I don't know. Yeah, they tried to bring the instruments back and that didn't work. So
didn't really work out. Yeah. That's why you see them on clearance at Target.
Yeah. We could go into the Destiny 2 updates. There was a big update thing with Destiny 2.
They're doing things.
Yeah, they're doing things. We're kind of going a little long, so they're doing. Okay. I mean, pretty much, I think, what it is. They're doing some faction and clan changes in the new season. Iron Banner events will remain one a season. I was trying to see. Let's see. They did a TwitchCon panel. Is what they did. Bungie promised players they can expect at least one big event per season, with 4 seasons planned per year. So every, what would that be? 3 months, every quarter, every 3 months, you're going to have a new season of stuff. So
the games that do seasons, that's about the same, or some of them do a few more. Like I think Rocket League is a little bit quicker.
Yeah,
but
and
sounds about in line for what you would expect from Destiny.
Yeah, they're adding. It looks like players will see winter themes matching the seasons, which is kind of cool. The tower will be decked out in a winter theme, and players will be able to play hockey and throw snowballs. Right now, you can play. Can you what?
I want a scarf.
Yeah, you got to have a scarf and mittens.
Big fluffy woolen mittens.
Those will be the microtransaction things. Which is funny. One of the emotes I got from the light things was the Pulp Fiction, where Travolta's looking around with his wallet, in his hand, like looking for that person. I got that emote. So when somebody asks me, when somebody once says, "Well, let's do this," and I just kind of look around and I go, "What?" But yeah, so you got some season 2. Yeah, there's plenty of content coming out for Destiny if you're a Destiny person. If you wanna find out more, it's all on the Bungie website in a lot more detail than what we could go into. We could probably do a whole episode on just that kind of content. The last thing I saved for, not least, but because I figured it would open up the most discussion. The big one is Visceral Games closed while we were gone in between recordings. Now, Nathaniel, you've read more on this than I have, so
yeah, was it Jason Schreier? I think it's the guy's name from Kotaku had put up a couple of big things on this. Like he was one of the first ones to break it. As far as they were closing, and then he got in contact with a bunch of people who used to work there and got a bunch of anonymous sources and made this whole big huge thing that if you read through it, it kind of sounds like Visceral has been doomed since pretty much Dead Space 3.
Yeah, it really did.
Maybe even slightly before that, and it's not necessarily all their fault. It's all about some of the stuff that EA made them put into, Dead Space 3, and then just kind of shifting them around to different things, like working on Hardline, which is a first-person game that they had never done before. And it's yet another example of EA thinking the Frostbite engine is awesome when it's not as awesome as they think it is. It doesn't bend around everywhere. From this and other things, it sounds like Frostbite's pretty hard to make it do something other than a first-person shooter, which is what it was designed for. But EA is like, ooh, it's pretty, and yes, it is a pretty engine, but it's not made to do everything. So it sounds like they were fighting with that engine to try and get it to do what they wanted it to do for an adventure kind of style game. And it had one type of game they were going to make at a certain point, and then Amy Hennig came on and it changed again, and then throughout putting people on and off of this game and onto other games, they never had enough staff that they needed, and it sounds like this game was doomed from the start. We just never knew it until now, and it's kind of sad because we have all this game built up in our head. It's like, oh yeah, cool, a Star Wars game kind of like Uncharted sounds awesome, but in order to do that, they just never had enough resources.
Yeah, it sounded like they were down to 80 people, I think, working on that game.
Even less than that at some points, because they had a team of 30 or something working on it, and then the other team was working on Hardline DLC stuff. And then that team was supposed to come over, and then they built up what EA Motive was going to come in and give them another 70 or stuff. But instead, Battlefront did really well. So the one thing that people over and over dinged them on that is it didn't have a single-player campaign. So instead of putting them on Visceral's game, they went to Battlefront 2. So Battlefront 2 coming out this year has a single-player campaign. So the people that worked on that were originally supposed to work on this Visceral game, and it's just all sorts of just things. The one quote in there from an ex-employee that stuck with me, and I've seen it quoted elsewhere, is it was a mercy killing.
Yeah. That's
mercy killing.
There's another one saying that they were maybe too kind on Visceral and let them kind of like make this project go on and on longer than it should have, and they probably should have axed it well before even now, and it just kind of stretched out way too long and never really went anywhere.
I just want to know if Amy's going to be kept on to help with whatever the successor to this project is.
Nobody knows.
I really want to
see
what her vision is.
Well,
I'm going to say, judging on this article, no.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like that the culture from Naughty Dog and then the culture to Visceral was completely different, and that was part of the problems of this game as well, is just kind of culture clash and her wanting to do stuff in a certain way that she was used to, and kind of trying to have too many hands-on because she didn't want to like kind of let everyone else have control of it when they didn't work the same way and all sorts of different things. It just sounds like there's so many just daggers in the heart of this thing from the start and just didn't really have a chance.
Well, and that was one thing that I even got from that. I didn't get to read the whole article before we went on, but the part where they even stuck Henning doing cutscenes and stuff in Hardlines. It's like they pulled her from here and stuck her over here to do this. It's like well,
it's like they hired her to do this Star Wars game, but then they're like, well, no, you have to do this first.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't understand.
And it's also like Visceral being in San Francisco has a lot to do with it, because it's a very, very expensive city.
Yeah.
It doesn't have any tax breaks like a lot of other EA studios where they're located do. And so it's just nothing that they could really do to actually get this thing going.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when the news broke, immediately the first thing out of everybody's mouth was, well, they canned him because the game was single player only.
Well, the statement kind of sounded like that. And
it
I think
did.
It was a poorly worded statement that everybody kind of jumped on. And then now that we've had a little bit of time and more stuff has come out about it, it's like, okay, maybe it's not quite as simple as we first thought.
I mean, all that aside, but what is EA doing? I mean, so
have you seen? There's a image going around that they keeps getting updated with studios that EA has killed.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
They buy a studio and then they want to control everything about them that they thought was cool, and it's completely wipe out the creativity or anything that made the company, good originally. Arguably, they've done that to BioWare, even though they're still like making games, but they're not the same BioWare
they're
they
a
were.
Shell of what they were.
Different.
Yeah, they were.
It's just the name.
Yeah.
Nobody's there.
Well, I mean, it's pretty much the name because partly of what EA's done, partly just because some people have moved on. Just normally anyway, like the doctors aren't there anymore because they were kind of done with video games.
Right.
And some of the, their head writers and all sorts of other things moved on to either other projects, other studios, other industries, whatever. It's a different studio.
Well, and the other thing with it too that hurts is they have the Star Wars rights, to make Star Wars games.
Oh yeah, there's another thing in here. There was apparently like right before LucasArts closed, but before the whole Disney deal was revealed or something, there was somewhere in there where Star Wars 1313 that got canceled was sort of even almost offered to Visceral.
Right.
And they turned it down or something like that. I'd have to go read the
article. Yeah,
again.
and then there was a pirate game they were working on, and it was about the time that Black Flag was going to come out, and they decided to axe that because they didn't want to go up against Assassin's Creed with it. And then they turned that into a Star Wars game that was kind of like pirates in space, and then they axed that. And
all of it sounds like the concepts behind the games are really cool, but they're biting off too much that they could actually execute on. And then EA just keep pivoting, as they like to call it, before they can actually get anything anywhere on actually making a game you can play, other than just like, here's a quick demo that we kind of pasted together with duct tape.
When is EA's licensing deal up? Was it 5 years?
I don't know.
Let me see if I can find that real quick, because apparently the only Star Wars game we're ever going to get is Battlefront.
I think it was 5 years, and I think we might be 3 years in at this point.
Should be. EA Star Wars.
Well, even with 5 years, it's not that many games because it takes a while to actually make those games.
Yeah.
That's my point, is that they don't really get another shot with this.
It actually doesn't.
They'll have something else after Battlefront 2, whatever that may be, and then that's probably where it ends, unless they renegotiate. There's probably some option in there where it's like, period's over, unless we renegotiate something, which I'm sure EA will try to do, because Star Wars is definitely a big cash franchise if you can make the games.
Yeah, if you can make it and keep it going.
Because even like Battlefront a couple years ago sold tons of copies, even though kind of general consensus was it's sort of disappointing, I guess, is what
I don't think the buzz is that big for
and Battlefront 2, the buzz around it is more about like, oh, look, it has a campaign now and some of the other little modes. But yeah, there's just so many big games coming out. It doesn't have as much buzz as the first Battlefront did.
And apparently, if I want to play a single-player Star Wars game, that's the only way I'm going to be able to play it. I mean, I don't know. It disappoints me. It does
look kind of cool.
Yeah.
I do like the story trailer for that came out recently.
The story trailer was amazing. I did not like the beta. I didn't think the gameplay was that great.
I didn't play the beta either. I didn't have time.
It's one that I will probably rent to play the campaign. And that's it. If I even
Me too. You're absolutely right. That's what I'll do. I don't know. It just really, I hate to say it hurts my heart, but it does. I mean, because I was looking, not only to see that anytime a studio closes, it sucks, but to see the studio that was working on that game with Henning and the vision that she had and the way they were we're going to do this and this and this and this. How many years, 2 years in a row, we saw concept stuff at the EA thing with here's the Star Wars games that we're working on. This is this, and now it's just gone. And who knows if it'll ever come to fruition at this point.
Well, they're supposed to be giving it to someone else and it'll turn into something else, but it sounds like they didn't even have that much of a game put together, really, even at this point. They just had a bunch of concepts.
Yeah.
So they may have a few systems that may go. They might keep some of the overall story concepts and turn it into a different kind of a game. They might do something all completely different. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard telling. But I just hate it. I absolutely hate it.
But yeah, it was a cool idea that everyone fell in love with. Oh, we really want this, and then to find out that actually we're never even really that close to getting it because they had too much of too big of an idea that they didn't have enough resources to actually pull off.
Yeah, and that's what it sounds like. It's too bad. So who knows?
And it was like unreasonable demands too. It was like they were saying that EA was wanting a 90+ Metacritic for this game is what they were, targeting, which is kind of crazy. They were talking in this article. They're comparing it to like saying we're making sort of Uncharted 1, but they want us to have a game that's like Uncharted 4, even though we're working on, tech-wise at, the beginning of it, because we haven't made anything in this engine before. You have to make all these systems from scratch. And yet they want this super polished, crazy experience that we can't do with only 30 people.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's just... But
man, I want to be living that alternate universe actually was able to get made because I think it's cool.
Yeah, I do too. All right, Eric. What's your report on Portland Gaming Expo?
I had a million things, but as we ran kind of long, I tried to keep it short. Short
time.
To the point. I don't want to bore it.
Oh, you ain't gonna bore anybody. It's fine.
So, Portland Retro Gaming Expo. Yeah. It is the largest retro gaming.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Portland, Maine. No, it is the largest retro gaming expo in the United States. The next closest one is Midwest Gaming Classic in Wisconsin. I highly recommend going to Portland Retro Gaming Expo. Even if you're not a collector, they have a lot of cool stuff. They usually have a big museum display. This year it was celebrating Atari's 40th anniversary. That was pretty neat. They had a lot of they had like Atari displays set up with like the screens and the console, the kind you would see in the store, and I had never seen those before, so that was kind of cool. They had all the covers and the 2600. They had a bunch of the adult games in glass cases. I took a picture of those. I don't know. I just I knew what they were, and I was like, oh man! I was like, I can't imagine somebody buying these.
I remember those.
I'll have a Custer's Revenge, please.
Yeah.
But they had some other cool stuff. Let's see. They usually have a big free play arcade and pinball. And I spent a little bit of time in there. They had a big thing on the Tetris World Championship. They always have that. The only arcade game I played was Gauntlet Dark Legacy, just because it was available at the time when I walked by. They usually have a lot of panels. I went to a couple. I went to the Retronauts panel where they talked about the history of Metal Gear. That was really cool, and I'd never been to one of their panels before. They made the trek last couple of years, but they have a podcast. And they're pretty interesting guys. And then Ben Heck was there, and he was talking about modding, how he got into like modding systems. Where he takes the console and he breaks it down, and makes it like portable. Yeah. So he showed lots of prototypes of that, and talked about his Xbox One laptop he had made and things like that. So he has I think he has a podcast or a TV show now.
He has a video show. I've watched a lot of his videos.
It's pretty interesting. Like I've seen some of his stuff up for auction before, and I've been like, oh, and I look at him, oh man, it's expensive.
Oh yeah, it's not cheap.
John Hancock, another well-known collector in the Pacific Northwest, the immortal John Hancock, he had a panel, and he talked about the 3DO and Jaguar. And he had 2 Jaguars set up because they would keep giving issues back and forth. And he's like, that seems to be a common problem. But he demoed some games for us and talked about, they're kind of like, forgotten consoles. People don't really want to collect for them. Mm-hmm. So, and I can see why. There were lots of games where it's like, ugh.
I still want a 3DO, though.
No, I mean, yeah, it's might be worth it for some of the stuff. I did stop by and see the CD guys. As you know, we talked about them in their Indiegogo campaign to make a disc-based Raspberry Pi-like system. I guess that's the best way to describe it.
Yeah, that whole thing ended up being a disaster.
I didn't make the funding. They're pretty cool, though. I mean, Ryan had a big interview with them, and they remembered him. They knew I was coming, so we chatted. They gave me a T-shirt. First thing I did was look over their games and go, oh, look, Neo Geo CD games. Let's see if Metal Jesus was right. Yep, they run about 75-80% of the speed. Aero Fighters 2 actually ran really well and sounded fantastic, but King of Monsters 2 definitely was a lot of slowdown, and there was some sound problems.
And I find that very interesting because if you run an ISO on a Raspberry Pi, it runs way better. I don't know if it's because it's running off the disk and it has something to do with the...
Yeah, maybe the way it's like writing it.
When
Aero Fighters 2 has a lot of things going on because of the shoot 'em up.
Yeah.
So you would think that it would have the most problems, but nope. It ran like a...
I don't know. After Metal Jesus actually took that apart, that was what killed that thing. They never should have let him take that apart and show it on film what it was, because all it was a Raspberry Pi and a laptop CD-ROM hooked up to it with... Yeah, it was nothing that nobody could do themselves.
Their booths seem pretty busy, so who knows what's going to happen. I played a couple of their DOS games, too, and those ran fine, so that was kind of...
I say make it a made-to-order thing. Take orders, make them, send them out to people. Don't do an Indiegogo. Don't try to mass-produce the thing. Just set up a website online and say, hey, if you want it, come pay me money, and I'll make it and send it to you. Be done.
There were some other... there were a couple things on my list I tried to get this time that were really spendy. I know it's not the greatest system in the world, but the Neo Geo X has been on my list for a little bit, and they had 2 here. They had one that was $250, new in box, which included the Mega Pack, which is actually a really good deal because normally that's about $400. I looked at it, thought about it, got permission from the wife to get it, went back, it was gone. And I went, oh man!
See, that's what you get for having to get permission. You just should have did it.
I also would have hoped
asking for forgiveness is way easier.
There we go. I did not see any Neo Geo CD stuff, any Neo Geo AES stuff. I did not see. I saw very little 3DO, very little Panasonic CDI this time. I saw a couple Turbo Duo systems, but it was really interesting because last year when I went, Turbo Duos were all over the place.
Yeah, that's kind of strange.
If you're curious about the prices, like I saw most Genesis systems are between like 30, 40. Yeah. Same thing with Super Nintendo was a little bit more. PS2s were around 50. I mean, there were tons of people selling just cables and controllers for everything. You get Genesis controllers, like decent third-party ones, for $1. Oh, look, you need a Wii AC adapter? $1. PS2 memory card? $1.
And you would think coming to the biggest retro gaming
show
on the West Coast that they would have more of a rarity stuff. That's where your big money, your people come in to spend big money on that stuff.
So there is a big Facebook group, the Portland Retro Gaming Expo, and a lot of guys are posting that, hey, I'm at this booth, I have this item. There was one guy that posted about Futurama for PlayStation 2. I went there first thing, Saturday morning. The guy had already beat me to it. I was curious. I wanted to see, and I would have thought about getting it because it's very expensive.
Yeah.
It's not super. I mean, it's not spendy, but it's like around $50. I saw Splatterhouse 3, $120 complete. And I went, I don't think so.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I saw a card-only copy of it of 2 for like $70. I'm like, But a lot of places were willing to work with you. So that guy the booth that had the Neo Geo X missed out. The guy's like, well, do you want anything else? He's like, I'm sorry, man. He's like, oh, I picked up a couple of PlayStation 2 games, Outrun Coast to Coast and Capcom Classics Collection Volume 2. He's like, yeah, you can have those for 20. It's like, that's a pretty good deal.
Yeah.
So both those games for 20. Yeah, so people are willing. If you're buying, definitely gotta poke around on Sunday. I had a good time. Definitely handed out a lot of business cards. Probably had, but I'll definitely go again next year, maybe the year after. I mean, it's so reasonable to go. It's 3 hours from where I live here.
Well, yeah.
$30 for a weekend. So.
Yeah, I mean, you can't beat that. I can't.
That's not too bad.
Yeah.
No, I would like to fly out and go to that one, but it'd be, $400 to fly out.
There is a lot of cool stuff. If you're big into the Atari scene and like Commodore and old PC stuff from the 80s, they have a pretty good selection of that stuff. I'm not really interested in that stuff, but there's always a lot of guys selling this and always a lot of people.
And that area up there is like so full of retro game stuff because Nintendo up there, Microsoft up there, a lot of your old publishers, Sierra and stuff, were up there too back in the day. So yeah.
I didn't see any HDMI modded N64s this time. I saw a couple OG Xbox developer kits. Those are kind of interesting, but they wanted way too much money.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's lots of good deals to be found. It was a good time. Lots of cool stuff to see. Lots of panels to go to. Yeah, I was going to try to get into the Tetris World Championship just to see how well I could do, but forgot to sign up. There's some other tournaments going on, too.
I lost out at level 5. Oh,
I was like, dang it, level 3! Pieces just kept falling so fast. Yeah, no, it's good times. There wasn't really anything else. Oh, I did notice this. There's one thing they did crack down on this year. They cracked down on repo cards. If it's a game that's never been released in PAL or in Japan, you cannot have it at Portland Retro Gaming Expo. If it's, let's say it was a European-only release, and made a reproduction of it, the American, and made it, fan translation, you can have that. There were some, I guess, they had some problems last year and things like that.
That's weird. You think you would be the opposite. You wouldn't want a repo of a game that had been released,
and no repo copies of stuff that's actually out physically. Like, let's say. They give some examples, but let's say Super Mario RPG.
Yeah.
Couldn't have a repo of that. I think they had a lot of problems with that last year and stuff like that. People were buying them for like $20 a piece. And things
well,
like
I could see that. And then, nobody's going to buy a real copy of it for 40 or 50 because they can just go over here and buy a copy of it for $20.
Yeah, but it was pretty interesting. Like I said, I had a really good time.
Okay.
And that's about it.
Cool. Well, the only other thing I got is next Saturday, or this coming Saturday, we're doing the Extra Life charity stream. I have not talked to Matt yet to find out if we're going to try to do it the whole 24 hours or if anybody else is going to help out. I know I'm going to try to do some. The trouble is man, that weekend is so crowded with stuff. And I didn't realize it when I said, yeah, I'll help out. Thor comes out that weekend. There's the Zelda orchestra thing up in Columbus. Sunday is daylight savings time. So it's like, oh my gosh, why did I? Monday morning, I'm going to be useless. So it's just like, oh my gosh. So I don't know what all. Just kind of hang out on the site or follow us on Twitter. You'll find out all the pertinent details when we get everything worked out.
I'll definitely have to check in and see what's going on.
Yeah, we may only do it for 12 hours, may only do it for 10. I don't know. I really don't know how we're going to work anything. Matt's the one who's doing it all, and I meant to ask him this morning what he was planning on doing, and it totally slipped my mind because I forgot what day of the week it was. So there you go. So, but all right, but yeah, be sure to follow us on Twitter. You'll know when all that goes live, and plus you'll just know when we're going live here with the show when things go live on the site. So that's, if you want any information, Twitter's the place to find us at.